Hey everyone, welcome back to Write Out Loud. With the holidays here, we're bringing back some of our absolute favorite conversations, and this one is a standout. Today's holiday replay features our conversation with Kristen and Ashley, packed with insight on storytelling, career longevity, and what it really takes to connect with readers. If you missed this one the first time, you're in for a treat, and if you didn't, well, it's worth a second listen. Let's dive right on in. Today, we have the distinct honor of hosting a literary powerhouse whose storytelling has captivated millions around the globe. She is a New York Times and USA Today best-selling author with over 90 romance novels to her name, translated into 14 languages, and has sold more than 5 million copies worldwide. Her prolific body of work includes beloved series such as Rock Chick, Colorado Mountain, Dream Man, River Rain, Chaos, and Wild West MC. So beyond her literary achievements, she is a trailblazer in the industry, seamlessly blending self-publishing with traditional routes to make her stories accessible to a wider audience. Her dedication to her craft and her readers is evident in every page she writes. We are thrilled to have Kristen Ashley with us today to delve into her creative process, discuss her latest projects, and really explore the experiences that have shaped her remarkable career. Kristen, welcome.
Hi, everybody. And what a really nice intro. Wow.
Well, it wasn't a lie when I said we're very excited to have you. So it is an honor. So, and I know Christina is just, fangirling like crazy.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to hold it all in here. I'm trying to be cool.
Well, cool. We are going to start off with just a few kind of starter questions. So I'm going to kick it over to Christina. Let's take it away and give it what you got.
Yeah. So, I know that at the start of your writing journey, like many authors, you were called to tell stories. You had characters in your head that were just dying to get out. I've read that, and please tell us if this is correct, that you would write story after story, submit to New York. This was pre-Kindle, even I think Sony readers. And you just were being turned down by New York because you wrote in first person. And generally romances aren't in first person. So can you explain or tell us a little bit more about that writing journey, what that was like? What made you continue to submit? I mean, that's got to be like a knowing, a belief in yourself, something. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Well, I think that I'm just a writer. And I from a very young age, if I'd kind of understood what my brain was telling me, I would have known that I was always a writer. I had people tell me that they would love to get letters from me because I would just write these long, really entertaining letters to family and friends or thank you notes. And I started to write. I used to tell myself stories to put myself to sleep at night, and I was a romance reader from the time like I was 12 years old. So I would start like a romance book in my head, and I would kind of remember where I ended when I would drift off to sleep, and then the next night I would start up there and just keep going through, keep telling the story in my head. And so by the time and this is all before even personal computers. I mean, that wasn't even a dream to have a computer in your own home. So when computers and laptops and when I finally had the capacity to make it easy and not to do typewritten pages or having to write it by hand, I just let loose and started writing. And of course, the dream is to be published. And this was before the internet, really. So I did all of my submission research at the Denver Public Library. So I went through these tomes and tomes of books to research all the publishers, what they published, all the agents and all the agencies as well. And everybody had a different way that they wanted you to submit. Some publishers didn't take submissions. You had to go through an agent. Some wanted one a synopsis, some wanted 3 chapters, and I went to Kinko's. I don't even know if there still is a Kinko's anymore. But I would go to Kinko's and I would create my submissions and I'd send these letters to people. And it actually wasn't the first person. I just don't think it's hard. It was back in the day before independent publishing. there was a very, very strong locked gate
Yeah.
to authors, and so it was just hard. Bottom line, I did have a couple of agents write to me and say, "I think there's something here. Don't quit."
Yeah.
But I was never going to quit. I'm a writer, and I can't say that having so many rejection letters or spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars to send these submissions didn't hurt, and always getting rejected or completely ignored didn't hurt. But I was never going to stop writing. It wasn't going to happen. So I finally did when the indie craze started happening, and it was actually super easy to publish a book through Smashwords and KDP. I didn't want to do that because there was all this, that was considered vanity writing, or those weren't the real writers type of thing. And so I made one final submission to an agent in Denver who went to Purdue University, which is my alma mater, and only represented romance. And I also had an in, because I had a friend in the industry who introduced me and said, "You have to read this woman, you have to represent her, she's great." And I sent the submission electronically, and she rejected me within like half an hour. She couldn't have even read it. She was just like, "Nope,
Wow.
I'm not going to do it." So I thought, at this point, I have like 25 books written. I didn't stop
Wow.
writing through all this, and this lasted a decade, over a decade. So I just thought, okay, well, I'm just going to do it myself. And I talked my husband into letting me quit my job. I was a charity executive. We made agreements about what splurges we could have. He was going to have good coffee, and I was going to get my hair done every 6 weeks. And
The important things.
Yes,
and that was it. I mean, we went bare bones. We went back back to college. We were eating ramen noodles. I'm not joking I said, "Just give me a year and then I'll look for another job." So I'm just going to get my website together. I'm going to look into the social media thing and all of the kind of marketing behind it. He designed my covers, and I didn't even have an editor. And I just started kind of a little bit cleaning up these books and dumping them on Smashwords and KDP. And I would sell maybe a book a week, maybe. And then I had a blogger, Marisa's book blog. I had a blogger review my book really positively. She reviewed The Gamble. And I woke up in the morning and I looked at my KDP numbers, and I'd sold like 15 books. And then I looked up the next day, I think it was another 15, and the next day was like 8 or something. And I thought, oh, well, that was nice. Yeah. And then the next day was 15 again. I'm like, okay. And the next day was like 2,000. And the next day, because I had published all those books, so they had other books to go to.
Right.
And so readers were just, I was selling tens of thousands of books a week.
How many books had you published at that time? How many were up?
At the time that it hit, it was probably a good, most of like the Rock Chicks and the Colorado and the Dream Man. So probably a good 15, 20 books that I had written at that time. And so then I was publishing like 1 or 2 books a month because I had them. And then everybody thought I could publish like that. They got angry at me when I had to start writing them before publishing them. But I don't know what turned. I'm like you, back in the day, romance was only in third person. I like to write in first person because because my writing needs it. It's a stream of conscious. You're really in the heroine's point of view. So I want to really take my reader and make my reader either feel like they're her or really, really get her. So that's why I used first person. But there's another part of it, and I don't want to talk for 15 minutes, but there's another part of it that and it's true, all the stereotypes, if a door closes, another one opens. And so I was kind of writing in the 80s, 90s romance style in the third person, what I wanted a publisher to read. And when the publishers and the agents kept rejecting me, I thought, why am I writing what I think they want? This is constraining me. Why?
Yes.
I don't. If they want it anyway, why am I writing what they want? I'm going to write what I want to read. And so that's when the Rock Chicks were born. That's when I was like, you know what? I'm throwing all the rules out the window. I'm just going to write what I want to read because I'm going to be the only one reading it anyway.
You know, honest to God, though, I think that was the best advice you could have given yourself.
Yeah.
Because honestly, when I did discover you, I breezed through the Dream Man series. At that point, Chaos hadn't been out yet. So I went back to the Rock Chicks, the Mountain series, you know, and all of the others that were out at that time. And I did go back to the ones that you had written in third person. And I had trouble getting into them. And as I said to you before getting on the podcast, I wasn't a first person gal for romance. So, you know, it surprised me then, but it also clicked with me that this was your voice and that the other ones that you had written in third person, you know, maybe just didn't have that same zing that I always got when reading your books. And that, I will say, is the one thing that I absolutely tell every single one of my clients, every single writer's talk I give, that you have to keep your voice. Your voice is the most important thing, you know, and if you have an instinct about a story, you got to go with it. It's coming from somewhere.
Yes.
So how did you, I mean, you did say it was your voice and no one was going to read them, but there had to have been another little voice in your head that kept saying, but you're never going to get published and no one's going to read these. So how did you, again, keep going and just say, oh, well, people are going to read them? What did you, maybe the better question is, when you were getting those 2,000 downloads and then the next day and the next day and the next day, was there a part of you that said, oh my gosh, this is happening now? Reading, no, it didn't?
No, I lived for years after that thinking that it was all going to be over. Eventually.
Really?
Yeah, I did. It wasn't until my publisher, my editor at Grand Central Publishing, Amy Pierpont, called me and said, Own the Wind, the first in the Chaos series, made the New York Times bestseller list. And I'm like, and I said, oh, that's great. Just like that. And she was like, you just made the New York Times bestseller list. And I said, oh, yeah, that's cool. And then and she was really flabbergasted, obviously, about my response. And then later I went downstairs to get myself a drink and I opened the refrigerator and I thought, holy shit, I just made the New York Times bestseller. Oh my God, I'm just staring at the door of the fridge like, oh my God. And it was like a completely delayed reaction. And I think that was the moment when I thought, okay, this might be real. This isn't some figment of my imagination or the flavor of the week. It's been years and I've hit all these different milestones. And so now I believe.
Yeah. So what was the time frame? I'm sorry, I just don't know from when you started publishing, let's say, because we know it's about 10 years before you hit the self-publishing button. But how many years was it from the self-publishing to Own the Wind making New York Times?
I started to publish in earnest. I published a couple books through a government program in the UK called You Write On. So I started publishing in 2008. But I started to seriously independently publish in 2011. Yeah. And then Own the Wind was released 2013.
Yeah.
So it took a couple years.
Yeah.
For it to
I think it's such a fascinating thing, right? And we just got done with 2 episodes about talking about imposter syndrome. And just to see your journey, and there's a couple pieces, right? I think one, you dealt with some of that, right? Because you were, like you said, you were like, this is just going to evaporate at some point. Like this is, maybe you felt like it was a flash in the pan or something like that. But the fact that you had such determination and tenacity, and still do, right? Like going through this whole journey, like you just continued to go at it when that mentality of, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do this for me.
Right.
I'm going to write for me because it's what I want to read. And it just, I hope that as you're listening to this, you take that to heart you've got to have that mindset,
Yeah.
right? You've got to
Yeah.
think about it in the terms of do it for yourself, do it because you enjoy it, do it because you love it. And if it comes to you, success comes to you, then great.
Right. I always said prepare for failure. Especially in writing. Don't expect success. Don't. It's life is a hustle, and selling books is a hustle too. You just have to keep going at it, and you just can't expect that you're going to be the next playing or
Kristen Ashley.
Kristen Ashley or Rebecca Yarros or
Yeah.
because you probably aren't going to be. You have to write because you love to write, and then when you write, you have to write what you love to write. You don't have to worry about what a reader is going to write or what a publisher is going to want to publish. I wish I need to memorize this quote, but E.B. White said, "Always write for an audience of one."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the
that.
best, and truthfully, if you're writing in that way, if you're writing with your voice and your heart and the stories you want to tell, again, I'm going to steal somebody else's quote. If you build it, they will come. Readers will, like you with the Ghost and Reincarnation series, which is in third person. Those were the books I was writing earlier, hoping that a publisher would want them. So you saw that right away. This kind of isn't her.
Yeah.
Even though I love those books,
Yeah.
I hadn't yet found my voice yet with those books. And so the Rock Chicks and Dream Man and Cloud Mountain and Chaos, all the ones that came after.
And just to say, I will read them because, and part of the reason I had picked those in the beginning, not only because they were third person and I really wanted to read you, but also because I'm fascinated with all things spiritual, ghost, reincarnation, all of that stuff. So it was usually my cup of tea. But again, so eventually I am going to read them, but I'm just having too much fun with all of the other series that you're doing right now. I think something that you said is, really important to mark again is that if you are writing for that audience of one, readers can actually feel what is coming through. And so if you're not liking what you're doing, if you are writing something to trend, to get published, to be a bestseller, to be the next, Rebecca Yarros, I think we can feel that. As readers, I think we can feel that. And that's why as soon as I read your Dream Man series, I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm a fan. I'm on board. Reading all the Rock Chicks. I mean, there's so many iconic characters that I just don't know how they would live in another voice. They just wouldn't. One of the other things that I love about your books that make them so unique, specifically for readers, and I think this is another thing that maybe you can speak to, is your epilogues. You give us a monstrous epilogue where as a reader, I feel like I so know this couple is forever. There are going to be no breakups, no, maybe some bad times, but you know what? They've got it together. So, is that something also that you did intentionally because that was something you wanted as well? You wanted this epilogue to give all the details?
Yes. Yeah, I as a romance reader, back in the day, an epilogue was not a given. And sometimes it would be really short. And especially when you get those books that you love and you fall in love with these characters, you need to, I felt I wanted to tie it up in a bow. And that isn't a saying I said. I had a wonderful reader write me a fan letter and say, I feel very safe in your stories because I know no matter what, you're going to tie it up in a bow. Mm-hmm. And I thought that's exactly what I do. That they're going to fight over him not taking out the garbage, but that's not going to be the end of them. And then they'll end up making up in all sorts of great ways. But yeah, so that's what I don't want any niggling questions. But I also want to give a sense of what normal is going to be like for them, because you go through the drama of whatever's happening in the actual novel. I like to settle them down and
yeah, you can feel that. Like I said, it's like a reassurance that this couple is going to make it. There are some stories that I read that it ends, maybe no epilogue, maybe, like you said, a short epilogue. And I just feel like, are they secure? Are they really?
Yeah.
You know, they've been fighting this whole entire book and finally make up at the end. And
Yeah.
and that would be another point too that I think you do purposefully is conflict. A lot of stories tend to have an inner conflict within the main couple. Yours tend to be an outer conflict once they resolve their, initial whatever it is. So is that also intentional? Because I kind of feel like, again, when I read your stories, it is about once the couple gets to their kind of point of no return, like you do believe that they're going to be together forever, but they still have things going on around them. And I've always viewed it as you writing it as it's us against the world now. Like we're together, we're a team, we're going forward. Any other conflicts, like you said, they might argue about the trash, Shy and Tabby. But, the rest, though, feels more like, okay, it's us against the world. There's the outer conflict. There's other things going on. But they seem to be like this face against the world. And I think that's something that is actually missing from a lot of romances. So was that also very intentional?
Well, I think that there's three things that went into that. First, characters tell me what their story is going to be. So I go in not having really any clue. I just follow where they lead. The second is that I think in some of my earlier books, the conflict between the hero and the heroine lasted a lot longer. And I don't want to throw shade or anything, but I'm 56 years old now.
Yeah.
And I think I've lived enough life where I've learned how to communicate and not let things. So I can't even make my characters fake it and build a conflict for very long. It's like they all have to be mature adults and actually speak about their feelings and work things out. And then, but also my Aunt Barb, who is Aunt Bet from Motorcycle Man, is based on
I was
her.
just going to say, it's got to be, yeah.
Yeah. And she's a no-nonsense chick, and she reads everything I write. And she said, can we just have one where they get together in the beginning? And we don't have any of those misunderstandings or any of that kind of stuff. And the idea for Wild Man was born, where they did, at first they had a very big conflict, and there was a breakup and lots of drama, and then all the conflicts came at them. And maybe it is that I feel comfortable in that zone. Maybe it's at my age, or maybe it's because I've been through a lot of drama in my life and I don't feel like throwing the drama in the books. But maybe it's simply that because I'm writing what I like, it's maybe that I prefer to see how the couple as a team are going to face, somebody getting sick or somebody dying or, a serial killer in the midst or whatever it is that's happening. Yeah. So I really don't know, and I'm a weird person because I don't ever question it. As long as it's working, I'm going with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I just out of curiosity, and it's a little bit just getting into kind of your mindset. Is there ever a genre that you're like, I've been doing romance for so long, maybe I just really want to write a horror novel or I don't know, any other genre, right? Like, is there ever that point where you're like,
Yes, absolutely. And then I make it into a romance novel. So I started to really get into thrillers.
Okay.
And mysteries. And so I started my Mist of Pine series. So they're kind of thriller novels. They're not the whole kind of Steve Barry, Cotton Malone type of thriller. They're more like the kind of the maybe a little Riley Sager, a little spooky, a little scary, but really rooted in the. I'm not nowhere near as good of a thriller writer as Steve or Riley, but it's all couched in a romance. So I get to dabble in those things, and have the serial killers, and have have them running through the woods trying to escape the serial killer and all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
So and I did the same thing with kind of like this weird, eerie, like years long mystery in Too Good to Be True, where the house all sorts of death has happened in this house, and so there's all these murders are very famous, or all these deaths are very famous in this house, but the couple gets together while the house is speaking to them, they think.
Nice.
But I think that's what I would always do. Even if I wanted to do a straight up romance, I would put a straight up mystery. There'd be a romance in it. It would be a big part of the plot. I just can't not.
Yeah.
I can't
Just
not.
part of your DNA.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah, I was going to say, now, again, you have so many books out there. While I'm a fan, I haven't caught up on them all. And the Mrs. Pine series is one of them. And at the beginning, I wasn't going to delve into them because they had been like tagged as mystery thriller. And I thought, okay, I'm going to set that aside. But then everybody started saying, oh no, there's romance in it. There's romance in it. And then it's like, okay, no, put it back on the burner. We got to read those. So yeah, I think I get that with, I can't see you writing anything without the romance. I mean, yeah, there's just so much. I could go on. Some of the other questions, like, started to talk about your first person, but the other is, and we've actually talked about this on the podcast before, where I said, you know, as an editor, I should be telling the audience, you got to take either first person and write the whole thing in first person. No flipping heads and dual points of view. But you do that and you make it work. Is that another one of those Kristen isms where that's just the way it comes out? Because you've got the heroine in first person and the hero in third.
Right.
So how do you make that work?
Well, I think it's a Kristenism. I like that word. I personally want my readers to always kind of be a little mystery with the hero.
Yeah.
And the point of me writing first person is for my readers to be in the heroine's head. And I don't want them in the hero's head. I want them to feel just slightly removed from the hero, and for there always to be a little mystery, even when he gives you things, even when he's spilling his guts. There's just something that you always feel like you could keep learning about him, or that the heroine can always keep learning about him, because she's just not given at all. So if one came to me in first person, which I really think that kind of hell would freeze over if that happened, I would write it in first person, but he would really have to let me in, and that's never happened so far.
Yeah, like I said, Matt and I, when we actually did an episode on point of view, I know I brought it up there that you are such a rule breaker, and I mean that in the most delicious and the best way, because, you know, again, coming from, you know, I have the English background, you know, writing minor, all that kind of stuff. So normally it goes against my grain, like, you know, that Oxford comma's got to go back in there, you know, kind of a thing. But with your work, I can really just let go and go, you know, and yes, it is a Kristenism. Take it, keep that word, because you're the only one so far that I've seen able to do specifically that thing where you do the first and third. But it makes so much sense now. Mm-hmm. It makes absolute sense to me, because in that podcast that we did on point of view, I said there are reasons. There are always going to be reasons why you keep first person. Okay, then that means you're keeping the mystery of other people out of that person's head. That's what you see from that person's point of view, and only that person's point of view. Yeah, so that just makes it cherry on top. Cherry on top. Yeah, and in fact, I was talking to one of my clients and told her that I was interviewing you, and of course she fangirled out as well. But I asked her if I could quote her on something, because she said, and she, of course, I don't know if you know this, that I think the reading world and the writing world call you KA as an abbreviation. So she writes that. My thing with KA from the beginning was that she combined romance with suspense and humor and even women's fiction. And it was like there were no more rules about what a romance book is. She goes on to say, truly it was incredibly liberating to read her books. And she says back in 2012 when she started, and that just really does encapsulate everything that I wanted to bring you here for, was because you do break all of the rules, but they work for you. And I think that just hearing your side of the story, I think it all comes from, and you may not call it a knowing. I think it's a knowing. I think you knew your voice. And even though New York was rejecting you, honestly, I don't know if you can rear view it this way, but it was kind of a blessing because you still got to keep your freedom and still got the success, and then had New York coming to you saying, knock, 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 So what, can you tell me a little bit about that transition? Was it difficult for you then to work with New York? Did it?
No, not really. I was really pleased. I was really pleased to they have a lot of experience, obviously.
Yeah.
I was pleased to work with an editor because I didn't really have an editor before.
Yeah.
Nobody has written the perfect book ever. You can always keep learning, and you always keep refining your craft. And you can't, I mean, I guess you could do it if you read as well as wrote, but I don't believe you can. I think you can't do it in a vacuum. You need reviews, you need editors, you need readers, you need people feeding back. That doesn't mean I don't have beta readers. I don't take every single comment to heart, but there are some things that hit, and you think, that's a valid criticism, or I should think about that next time, or I should write that book, or whatever. So for me, it was for the first time being able to work with a team and see how they marketed, see what the book covers. They had a real problem with book covers, and so I actually don't have a contract with anybody in New York now, and I kind of miss it. I always liked to have at least one series going with New York, but they're just being so careful about picking up anything right now. It's just really hard in New York.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I'll keep doing indie. It's a lot more freedom, and I have a team together, so I'm not in that vacuum anymore. So I have a team of my own, but it's just nice. I mean, and maybe it's because I'm a social person. I don't know. I love books. I love writing. I love this industry. So even just knowing people and meeting new people was great for me. I did have I had to get over not having control over every little thing. And then eventually I started to need to have approval of my covers in the contracts.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the only little hiccup we have.
Yeah. So that's another thing too that I did want to talk to you about is your covers. Because again, that going against the grain, breaking all the rules. When you started publishing, about that time was what we termed the man chest cover, where it was like the head cut off and the man chest. But you always had what I call an icon cover. So a picture of some sort of image or icon or flowers, or like I picture the Colorado Mountain series before Grand Central recovered them. But what got you, where did your cover ideas come from? What made you choose to do that route?
Well, I personally don't want anybody to tell me what my characters look like. So if at all possible, you'll never see a face on any of my covers.
Yeah.
So that was the big thing with Chaos and the Dream Team when Grand Central recovered them. They did me well with the Dream Team because they did have a chesty one, but they only kind of put their jaw in there, so they didn't do the full face. And it might just be triggering from when I was in high school and I read romance novels, and they were all the bodice rippers with the woman in the flowing dress and the man without a shirt on and stuff. And I would carry my books to class in rural Brownsburg, Indiana. where they probably read a lot of romance novels, but it's definitely the Bible Belt. And so they're probably like, no, I want everybody to be able to, not that I don't have any problem with enjoying what I enjoy and letting everybody know. But if it's an issue for you, I want you to be able to read my book and nobody say, oh, that's such and such type of book.
Yeah.
So, but it's more, I want my readers to decide who my characters look like for them. And even if they feel like changing their hair color or whatever, if it's not something they like.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I actually had a conversation with Suze Brockman in her kitchen, arguing with her about what her character looked like. Because in my head, it was very different.
Yes.
Very different. And she's like, no, he's got this color hair. And I said, no, he doesn't.
Yes.
No, he doesn't.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I get that.
When I have conversations with readers, or they send me pictures and they're like, "This is tack," and I'm like, "It's not." But if it is for you, I'm not going to say a word about it. That could be your tack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not, but that's cute though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that is so funny because I am in one of the rock chick groups on Facebook, just because I like hanging out with the other readers and stuff like that. And someone posted Hugger's picture. And I was like, that's totally not what I pictured. This is what I pictured. So, and then it was fun because there were some people who were like, ooh, that's a good one, or that's a good one. And everybody kind of had their own idea. So I think, again, looking back on your writing journey, your evolution, it really does seem that you were making these choices very purposefully and intentionally, and it really worked. I just think that's just, let's leave it there, because I think that's some advice that a writer out there, can really take away.
What I would leave it on is my intention, bottom line, is to never put out a shitty book, never put out a crappy book. So all of these are very purposeful, and there's an intent behind it. And the intent is that I want my reader to love the book. I mean, even if it's not their favorite book they've ever read, or even their favorite book of mine, or their favorite book in the romance genre, I don't want them to finish it and think, meh, that was an okay book. I want them to think, that touched me, or I laughed. I might not read it again 15 times, but I didn't waste $5.99.
Yeah, no,
I got my money's worth, and it was a good book.
Yeah, I can honestly say there is not one Kristen Ashley book that I have read that I have not walked away from it just enjoy.
Good.
Good.
It's. I'm glad.
Maybe I didn't like him with dark hair and I put him a blonde, but that's just my imagination. But I Matt has been listening to me nonstop since you and I started communicating with the possibility of you coming on. I just know he's laughing at me. But it's just you have such an incredible journey, again, that I think people can learn from. That knowing yourself, knowing who you are as a writer, knowing what you want off of the covers, that's just something that maybe you grew into, you got old enough to, whatever reasons you think. I think it was because you were Kristen Ashley, and that's you were meant to be, who you are in the industry, and your journey was not a mistake or a wrong turn or, a wrong, smooth sailing. Great segue, Matt.
This is a segue, right?
Great segue, yes.
So we're going to pivot because it is getting to be that time, and I want to make sure we get this conversation in, but let's be really super clear right here, right now.
Yes.
We are getting into spoiler zone.
Yes.
So if you have not read Smooth Sailing, if you have no idea what's coming, if you don't want to know what's coming, you should turn the podcast off now.
Uh-oh.
And if you do, or maybe you don't care about spoilers, whatever, but join us for the rest of this conversation. But again, we are going to give it just a few more seconds. If you don't want spoilers.
Yeah, because someone out there is going, wait, I can't find the pause button. I can't find the turn off button.
You've got 5 more seconds. Ready? 4, 3. It's right to the left. Nope, not that button. Okay, yeah, there you go. 2, 1.
Okay, so I'm not going to start with the big one yet. We'll save that because I want to get into the story a little bit with Hugger and Diana. When did you know Hugger existed?
Well, Hugger was introduced in, I believe it was Dutch Black's story, Wildfire, the 1001 Dark Nights novella.
Yep.
And I had no idea who the heck he was. He was just the next gen chaos. And I was going to do the Wild West MC series with the 3 different MCs. And, but he fascinated me. And I knew for certain, whatever was up with that guy, it was going to be the first chaos book in the Wild West MC series. So he kept his secrets from me, including his paternity.
Yeah.
Until about halfway through me, I didn't even know who his dad was until halfway through writing Smooth Sailing.
Really?
Yeah. I'm like, I knew it was one of 2 guys.
Okay.
And then when he told me, I was like, no, let's make it the other guy.
Oh no.
he's a lot easier to handle. That one is really the bad one.
Yes. I was gonna think who was first. Let's talk about who the one you didn't choose.
It was Crank.
Okay.
So Crank was the president that Tack essentially had the coup over.
Yes.
So and he was a jerk, but he didn't do all this stuff.
Yeah, that here again, spoilers, turn it off quickly. That Chew was. I mean, my jaw dropped when you said Chew, and I went, "Oh my God!"
Yeah. And I was kind of writing and reading I was rereading the Chaos series so I could familiarize myself in the world and really.
Yeah.
And so I was reading particularly Free when Chew is finally dealt with, and all of the terrible things he does in the last hour of his life before he's assassinated, essentially. He was not a very good man, but I could really understand in understanding that. I could really understand Hugger's struggle. With who his father was, because we all do that with our parents,
right?
And I think girls tend to have more of an issue of, am I going to turn into my mom? If my mom isn't a great person, then that's not something you want to do. If she is, then great. The same thing with boys. They worry about, or they want to be like their dad, or they really don't want to be like their dad. And for Hugger, he really didn't want to be like his dad.
Yeah.
So, and I see that, and I see why he struggled with not only going to chaos to patch in, but also once he was patched in, understanding his place there.
Right. And I think that also makes it interesting too that you introduced him during Dutch and Jagger's stories. I mean, that kind of brings it all together.
Yeah.
And when it was revealed too, I kind of looked back and went, okay, this makes a lot of sense as to why he was so close to his mom, why he was so insistent on how women are treated. Like that was the first introduction. And I'm sure that's where you started to go, who is Hugger? In Dutch's story, he caught my attention because he was so quick to stop that talk.
Yes.
When this is a guy that we're like,
you don't even know who he is.
Yeah. And what is his story, know? Yeah. So, I mean, that was just, oh God, that's so interesting that you couldn't decide until midway through. But I also thought it was a really fantastic storyline of mystery, because the whole book I was trying to guess. But I was trying to think of all of the old time chaos people, because I knew it had to be pre, Tack.
Yeah.
So no, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Okay. One of my all-time favorite books is Shy and Tabby's story, is it Own the Wind, where we were first introduced to Big Petey, and he became this fatherly. So, the big question I have is, why Why did he have to die?
I know. Well,
Why? I
we can ask for Petey, but sadly he's dead now. When the book started coming to me, the first chapter started coming to me, and I kind of understood what was going to happen with Hugger and with Diana.
yeah.
Diana's situation at college. What didn't come to me was Big Petey. So imagine my surprise when I sat down to write, and I'm typing what point of view we're going to be in. Big Petey came to the fore in my head,
Yeah.
and so I knew right then that he was ready to go. And I kid you not, I went in every direction I could possibly go in
Yeah.
to try to stop this from happening. Because Tex from the Rock Chicks is never going to die. I don't care if I live for another 75 years and he's 175 years.
Oh, no.
He's just never going to die. He's never going to really get older than his right now 69, 70, 71 years old. He's just never going to ever go away.
He's always going to have a girl gang that he is, you know, setting those smoke bombs off and, you know, getting them all going, but protecting them all. Yes, I understand.
Yes,
yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
So I was kind of surprised that Big Petey, because he was such a cornerstone of chaos. It was really, it was always, and it wasn't quiet. He was the one that came forward when Carissa was in a custody struggle with her husband. I mean, he was very there.
Yeah.
And so, but he was just ready to go. I don't know why. I hated it. I sobbed. The entire ending of that book, from the moment Chaos decides to open a branch in Phoenix, and how they gave that to Hugger.
Yes.
And everybody leaving. I mean, I could get choked up right now just talking about it. When they all left, and he doesn't like to be touched, and they all left the meat room and they were hugging him. I was a mess. And then we go into the next chapter and Petey dies in his sleep.
Yeah.
So that was a very difficult final. And actually that was, I liked the epilogue of that, but it was a melancholy epilogue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if truth told, I don't know. I mean, my dad died last year. Yeah. So, I mean, there could be little things that I'm not processing in my own head that I was processing through this. Maybe I don't know.
No.
Saying goodbye fictionally, but I didn't want it to happen to either. But Big Petey did, and every time I tried to guide the story out of it, because he kept foreshadowing it throughout the book, he just pulled it right back.
Yeah, I think I had a sense when you were talking just now about Big Petey came and it's going to be his point of view. I actually did pause when I was reading that and going, why are we in Big Petey's head?
Yeah.
Why are we in Big Petey's head? But it made sense because Hugger's mother was basically saying, you got to take him in. And so I thought, okay, maybe that's why. But I think there was something niggling in my brain because the minute Hugger answered the phone in the middle of the night, I knew. Yeah. I knew. But I think the thing is, I can't say as a reader that I'm mad because I think it really did work for me for the story. And you gave him such a beautiful, if not sad, incredibly tragic send-off.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really neat to see all three of the MCs come together for it. The pageantry. And it brought me something too. My mom's best friend passed away and we went to her funeral and we actually joked this woman was fabulous and just gregarious and a joker and everything. And in fact, one of her kids actually said, I'm just waiting for her to sit up in the casket and go, ha, 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 it's all a joke or something like that. But as we pulled away and we're headed out of town, the other side of the road had about 20 motorcycles. And her son was part of an MC. And we were told later that they were coming to give her the MC send-off. So I really did truly appreciate all of the pageantry, the
word.
love.
That's a good pageantry is a good word.
Yeah, because he deserved that.
Yeah.
And I loved how you put all of the people that he impacted, in the front row.
Yeah.
Tabby, Carissa.
Yeah.
Everybody. He touched everybody. I'm going to ask the one thing that I didn't think I was going to ask, but I'm going to ask it because I think you've probably thought of it too. Now, there's no one that's going to fill Big Petey's shoes, but someone in the MC is going to be taking on that Big Petey role. Do you think about that? Have you thought about that?
Actually, when I knew that we were going to we were going to discuss smooth sailing on this podcast, it kind of hit me that maybe Big Petey was being Big Petey in the sense that he's just that kind of guy that now that I am, oh no, I'm going to get emotional. Now that I'm moving into the next gen of a lot of my books, the rock chick next gen with Avenging Angel and these new Chaos guys and thinking about putting some other characters that I've introduced along the way that finally giving them their HEAs and some of these other series that I'm working on. Maybe Big Petey was stepping aside so I could enter this next gen. And I haven't really thought of that. There's some older members in the Resurrection MC. It might be interesting to see somebody like Hound become, he's a little rough around the edges, but he's no less loving or lovable or sacrificing of his time. So, and he kind of already does that. Whenever anything happens, like when there's a project to be done, he's there destroying the kitchen so you can redo your kitchen. So I don't see Tack doing that because I see Tack more as kind of always going to be in the background helping to guide the club and making sure that faithful to what the mission is. Because Tack totally guided the way to Hugger finding his way being in the club.
Yeah.
So
it needed to be Tack. It needed to be Tack doing that because of who Chew was.
Yes.
And what he represented. So it needed to be Tack.
Yeah.
I get that. What you're saying is Tack is the figurehead of the MC and and I can see where Big Petey, he's not going to take that role on.
No, you need somebody that's
he's not watching the club like Big Petey. Big Petey watched everyone in the club and he stepped up when he knew he was needed and where he could take people. And you're right, Hound.
Yeah, Hound
is absolutely that man.
Yeah. I mean, if you read Tack's eulogy to Big Petey, that's who that role has to be.
Yep.
It has to be the father and the brother and the grandfather and the uncle and the babysitter and the warrior. I mean, not a lot of men can fill all those shoes.
No.
The wise man and the voice with common sense and so I love Tack's eulogy. I mean, I sometimes just stop and go read the eulogy just to make myself cry.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah. I just think you just did such a beautiful job with it. That's why I said I can't be mad as a reader.
Some readers are mad, but
I'm sure.
I knew that was going to happen.
I'm sure.
Can't make everybody happy.
No.
Can't make everybody.
But I mean, that's what would happen with the story because if you're slowing him down and talking about his aching joints and how believable is it going to be? Not that a romance novel has to be super believable, but you can't pull people out of what's real.
I like that you gave him a peaceful way to go instead of him dying, saving the club or, sacrificing himself to save somebody, whatever. I think this was more honorable for the life that he lived. He was, you know what? This was this is the way I saw it. This was his last job. Yeah. This was his last
ride.
Ride to, helping someone out. And, you got to give him that.
I think in the journey, I mean, he was definitely embedded in the great chaos that Tack took them out of, and he picked his side in that war.
Right.
And I think whereas the rest of them thought the war was won, Petey knew that there was one more loose string, and that was Hugger.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so for him, that was when the war was won. That was when he could be at peace. His club was at peace. Everybody's having babies and happy and financially secure. And that one last loose end, the last promise that he made, he fulfilled. I like his last ride when he's riding away from Huggers, from Jackie's, gravestone after he reports in that he finally did it. I think that's beautiful. And that's how we all would kind of like to go, to have our life in order and to be loved and be respected and not have anything that we're leaving undone.
Yeah. He was at peace with it.
Yeah.
He was at peace. Yeah. He was at peace. Yeah. Love that.
Well,
love that.
Kristen, it has been fantastic. We could talk to you for hours, quite literally. But I want to give you a chance if there's anything else that you'd like to promote or just share.
No, I mean, we talked about Smooth Sailing, which was my most recent release. So thank you for talking about that. I mean, I do have the next Misted Pines is coming out on April 15th, The Woman Left Behind. Nice. So if you haven't yet jumped into that, it does have romance.
Yeah. But I actually think, Matt, once I read them, I think that's actually what you might like those, just for the tone. They very much remind me of like a Twin Peaks vibe.
Okay. Oh, I'm glad you said, because that was I kind of morphed Twin Peaks with Northern Exposure to build this town in rural Washington State, but I wanted to kind of lean more into the kind of creepy Twin Peaks. So I'm glad you said that, because that was stuff. When I have one friend who reads my work as I write it, and I was sending it to her, and she was like, "What is this magic? What are you doing?" Because it's so not what I would normally write. So it's definitely faster paced and
Nice. Well, very good. Well, again, we are absolutely just honored to have you here. We enjoyed the conversation. Really, really, really fantastic time. You are welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
That you'd like to join.
And I'll go back.
Yes.
Awesome.
That'd be lovely.
Yeah. Well, again, Smooth Sailing's out, so please go buy it. Just because you like good books. You like good stories, right? And
yes.
Kristen Ashley does not fail to deliver ever. So it's awesome. Well, thank you for listening as well. We appreciate that. Share this with anybody and everybody. Just your great Aunt Edna. She hasn't listened to us yet. Just send it to her. She'll love it. It's fine. Find us wherever you find your socials at Write Out Loud Pod. And we'll see you next time. Just keep creating. Hey, thanks so much for listening to the podcast. We really hope that you're enjoying every bit of it, but we would love to hear your feedback. Drop us an email either to matt@writeoutloudpod.com or christina@bookmatchmaker.com. We would love to hear your thoughts. What's working, what's not working, and what do you want to hear more of? Thanks so much. We really appreciate it.